And excitement here goes a really long way. It really takes you far. And continuing to harness that and figure out and remember why you want to be here, what you want to get out of this opportunity. That's what you need through the tough times. They're going to come. You're going to have those struggles. You're going to hit those walls. But if you can remember why you're here, what the bigger picture is, everything is overcomable. How's that for a word?
I love it. I love it.
Overcomable.
Turn one day into day one.
Turn one day into day one. Yep.
All right. Well, let's get going on the meat of our call this weekend. As Paige mentioned earlier, we had the good fortune to join the Pac West agency, Darren Stubbs and Eric Ondrick and their teams, along with Steven Jackson, all here in Boise over the weekend. Ibba was there, Lisa was there. It was just a fantastic learning experience for us. Great opportunity to associate with some people who are doing this at a very, very high level, and provided for us a unique outlook on how to approach this business. And so we wanted to share all of that with you guys today. So we were talking about mindset earlier, and we do this a lot in terms of making sure that we approach every day with positivity and with gratitude, and that we live our lives with that going forward. And that is very, very important too. But there's also a practical aspect to our mindsets, right? Because most of us coming in here have not been business owners previously. We've been employees our entire lives up to this point. And there are some distinct differences that, and if any of you were at Ignite down in Dallas back in February, you heard Darren do an amazing presentation on this, and we want to share some of what he has to say with you. But talking about the difference between being an employee and being an entrepreneur, and certain things and certain advantages that come with shifting yourself to an entrepreneurial mindset. Now, I'm not going to dive too deep because I know Paige is going to go really big into this here in just a few minutes. But as we go through this, start thinking, we want to begin with the end in mind. So even if you're brand new here, even if you're day one, even if you're saying, well, I haven't even received a deposit yet, I'm not an entrepreneur yet. If you start thinking like this, if you start shaping your mindset to be somebody who is going to approach your business using the tips and tricks that we're going to talk about here and presenting yourself to the world in that way, then as your business grows, you are going to naturally fall into that business owner mindset, that business owner model. So with that brief introduction, Paige, you ready to take it away?
Yeah. So I want everybody to take a second, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, and follow along with me, because I found that when I've heard this topic, if you will, 2 times now, and I take something away every single time. And the times that I really have harnessed and understood this is when I've been writing it down, and it's a little easier to follow that way. So get something to write with, make sure you've got something to write on. And I want you to put job, J-O-B, versus SFG. J-O-B versus SFG, 2 columns. Under J-O-B, put paycheck. Under SFG, put profit. Paycheck versus profit. At a job, you're issued a paycheck. It's decided upon by somebody else how much you're worth and when you get it. At SFG, you have the opportunity to earn profit. Guess which one's bigger? Every single time. Profit. Guess what you can do more with? Profit. Guess what you can grow into a large organization? Profit. Which would you rather have? Under that, under job, put bottom. Under SFG, put beginning. At a job, you start from the bottom. Entry level, bottom, in the beginning. That's where you are. You have to climb to get somewhere. And guess who decides how quickly you climb? It's not you. At SFG, you start at the beginning. Everybody here, whether you're a direct, a 130, an equity partner, a senior vice president, whether you are that or a brand new agent starting today, everyone starts from the same place, and that's the beginning. But where you go from there is up to you at SFG. How fast you get there is up to you. Where you want your middle and your end to be is up to you. and you get to decide what that road looks like. At a job, bottom, that's where you are, and you climb your way up based off of someone else's evaluation of you. Under that, under job, scarcity versus under SFG, abundance. Scarcity versus abundance. It's a mindset shift when you're here. You learn through development, through being on these calls, through experiencing your own success and your own growth here, to have an abundance mindset. And you learn the power of that. You learn what it means to have endless, right? You can make and earn as much as you want here, both financially, growth-wise, impact-wise. There's an abundance. At a job, when the paycheck's over, it's over. If the month is longer than the money, guess what? Scarcity mindset. Which would you rather have? Under job, poor time management versus Google Calendar under SFG. Poor time management versus Google Calendar. What does that mean? You get the control. The Google Calendar becomes your boss. Who makes that calendar? You do. Who fills it? You do. Who gets to prioritize where the time is spent on a Google Calendar? You do. At a job, who decides where you spend your time? Where physically? When? How long? Who decides when you get to leave? Who decides when you get to go pick up your kids, or when you go to lunch, or when you have to arrive? How many days of the week you're there? How many days you get off? Who decides that? Job versus SFG. Under that, cost/spend under job versus under SFG, invest. That's a mindset shift too. When you have a paycheck, when someone dictates all of that, you look at things of how much do they cost? How much do I have to spend? Because I'm not getting a return on that. Here, you get to invest. You get to invest in leads because they have a 1 to 4, 1 to 10, 1 to 12 return. The more you invest, the more you get back. The more time you invest, the more you get back down the road. The more you invest in yourself, in your growth, in your development, the bigger you become. The more financially you invest in your leads, the bigger the return is, as long as you also invest the time and activity along with it. Invest equals return. Cost does not. Here, I want everyone to write this word down: meritocracy. Hunter, you want to spell that for everybody?
No, everybody spell it for yourself and then hold it up to your camera. I want to see how many different versions that we get.
I know I didn't spell it right, so I'm not going to spell it. Meritocracy. That means everything here is based on merit. We talked about that during the promotion guideline slide. Everything here is based on merit. You are paid exactly what you deserve versus someone deciding how much you deserve. Someone else deciding what your paycheck is and when you're promoted. Here, it's based off of what you deserve, and that's based off of what you put forth. Put forth a lot, you're going to make a lot. You're going to earn a lot. You're going to get promoted a lot. You're going to get big. You're going to be impactful. You're going to get the recognition that you deserve because of the work and the energy and the effort that you're putting in. At a job, you could be just as good, if not better, than your counterpart. And whoever's got a better relationship with the boss gets who gets promoted first. Here, that's not how it is. Hunter, let's talk about tax perspective, right?
Love
We're
it.
going to shift this over to a financial side real quick.
Yeah. So everybody think back to the last job you have, or maybe the job that you're currently working in and trying to transition out of. A lot of this is online now, I know, but think about when you get that paycheck, right, from a job. And there's the check itself, and then there's the pay stub attached to it, right? And what's the most heartbreaking thing that you can possibly feel when you look at a paycheck? Man, how much I could have made if it weren't for taxes. Yeah, that's right, Tom. Damn taxes, right? You see that nice number at the top, that nice fat number that equates to, your percentage of the salary, or it equates to the amount of hours you work, and that is called gross income. And then there is line after line after line after line of deductions off your gross income for Social Security tax, for unemployment tax, for welfare tax, for federal income tax, for state income tax, for health insurance, all of these things, right? And all of a sudden, that gross income dwindles down to about 70% of the work you actually did. And that's your net income. That's your take home pay. Now, the difference between an employee and an entrepreneur is where they spend that money. Because an employee getting one of those pay stubs earns money, pays taxes, and then gets the opportunity to spend what's left over, right? Average 70%. If you're doing really well, maybe it's even worse. Maybe you even have 50%, right, left over. But an entrepreneur, you see, an entrepreneur who owns their business, who works for themselves, who takes advantage of all of the things that Paige just talks about, the profit, the abundance, beginning in the beginning, the Google Calendar, investing rather than spending. An entrepreneur earns money, they spend it, and then they pay taxes on what's left over. Write this down under SFG there. AGI, adjusted gross income. Because right now, every single one of you as a 1099 independent contractor, as a self-employed individual, earns an adjusted gross income. Well, what does that mean? It means this, that you're using to make all your dials, just went from being a personal luxury to a business expense. So your business is going to pay for your cell phone before you ever pay taxes on that income. Look around the room you're in. If you work from home, you can apply a certain portion of your rent for your home office space or your mortgage to your adjusted gross income, meaning you can pay for a portion of your rent or your mortgage out of pre-tax dollars. Your vehicle, Josh, you hopped in the car and you went over to see a client the other day. Your vehicle just became a business expense. Everything, gas, right, maintenance, all of that can be paid now with pre-tax dollars. This is actually kind of funny. Paige and I hired a bookkeeper this year to help us take advantage of some of these things. And one of the things he told us was that as business owners, if we register our animals, our dog and our cat, Bina and Boji, as service animals, they are now a business expense. Meaning our dog food, our cat food, our vet bills, a new leash, all of that is a business expense for us, meaning we get to pay with pre-tax dollars. So employees earn money, pay taxes, spend what's left over. Entrepreneurs earn money, they spend money, and they pay taxes on what's left over. Adjusted gross income is your best friend. Now, we're not saying cheat the government. Absolutely not. Under no circumstances, right, try to cheat on your taxes. But use a CPA. Take advantage of the professionals, right, who are going to help you legally pay as little as you possibly can on your taxes. Think like a business owner, right? Expenses. What are the things you do daily that you can outsource as your business starts to grow? What are things that take up your time around the house or with your family that you can start to hire people to do so that you can focus on the growth of your business? Maybe it's a cleaning team coming into your house once a month. Maybe it's a gardener, right? To mow the grass so you don't have to take that 45 minutes. Maybe you're one day down the road, Miranda Martin, who hires a limo service to drive her boys to and from school, right? Start thinking now in the beginning where you're at, what you can outsource down the road. What can I outsource now? What can I seek to outsource further? Because what you're doing there is capitalizing on the one resource that you can never buy more of, and that's time. We want to make sure that we are utilizing our time as efficiently as possible. We're going to talk about a little more about investments and time kind of here at the end. But Paige, anything to follow up there before I kind of dive into the returns?
I was just amazed when I heard this last time. I was amazed at how much more money you really have when you get to pay everything pre-tax. By starting here, you immediately give yourself a 30% raise than if you were at a job, because everything you get to have it all first. Then you pay taxes after everything's been bought that you need to buy. 30% raise right away, day one.
Right. Yeah. Think about, the tools you use in your business, a new computer, right? Darren used the example of having to go buy a new laptop the other day because his crapped out. $700 laptop, right? If you were working at a job paying 30% taxes before you even see your money, real quick math to keep it simple, how much would you have to earn to be able to afford a $700 laptop?
$1,000.
$1,000, right? But here, in order to afford a $700 laptop, you just have to earn 700, right? Your money is more efficient. Your money is working for you. Yep. So Paige was talking about the difference between cost or spend or kind of that terminology versus investment, right? And how we have the opportunity here to treat everything we do as an investment. Now, when we talk about investment, oftentimes everybody's mind goes straight to money, right? And we talk about ROI. What is the return on investment? What is the return on our leads? Maybe in the beginning, it's 4-to-1. As you get a little bit better at this, you get a little more experience, it moves up to 6 or 8 or 10-to-1. But everything is a return. Investments always come, right, with some sort of a return. And if we take that mindset with our money, can we take that mindset with everything else that we do here? What about return on time? What does my experience, my growth with Symmetry, my time investment give me in the end? It gives me more time back, right? Because early on, when I'm just starting out, when I'm where Alexis is right now, buying, B5 leads and doing 200 dials a day, that takes up a lot of time. But she knows, right? As she gets better with this, Mark Anthony knows as he continues to grow this business, he's going to get more of that time back. He's going to earn more money. Alexis is going to earn more money. All of a sudden, it's going to make sense to invest in more expensive leads because they don't require as much effort. Maybe they require 100 dials a day instead of 200. You just got back 50% of the time that you spent dialing. What about when you get to the point where you're Rafa Rodriguez and you're working 12 A leads a week rather than 200 V5s and getting a return on that investment? Dialing for 30 minutes a day for a total of an hour and a half a week to earn your money back. You just bought back more of your time. Everything here rewards you with what you put in the beginning. If you want to earn more money down the road, spend money on leads now. Spend money on recruiting now. Invest in the future and the growth of your business. If you want more time down the road with family, with friends, time to take your kids, time to be there to pick your kids up from school every single day, invest time in your business now. Invest now that which you want to have down the road. Time's the one commodity we don't get any more of, right? It's finite. There's only so much in our lives. But if we invest our time wisely in this business, if we invest our time wisely in ourselves and we grow this right, it's going to pay us back dividends. Return on opportunity. Think back, over the course of the last, let's go back 124 years, right? 1900. In 1900, there was an idea that we had discovered most of what was to be known about the natural and physical world. Science had pretty much done its job, right? We knew how the human body works. We knew how cars drove. We had an internal combustion engine. We knew that there was no way ever, right, that people could fly like birds. But then the Wright brothers came along and they created an airplane and they proved human flight was possible. And over the course of the last 121 years since that first flight in North Carolina, boy, how much evolution has changed, or how much has evolved and changed in the industry of flight since then. Then came the polio vaccine, right? No more iron lungs. Boy, we thought we had the human body figured out, but there was still more to discover. And so I bring this up to illustrate that the exponential growth has brought about things, particularly in the last 20 years, advances in technology, advances in the way we do things that has created entire new industries that never could have been conceived of before. We are part of one of those developments. In 2019, life insurance agents were still getting in their car, driving to a client's home, sitting down across the table from them, writing out the application on a piece of paper, faxing it in, right? All of these things. 1950s business model still being used in 2019. All of a sudden, COVID hits, we go remote and look at the changes that have happened since then. Paige, you want to speak a little bit just about what Symmetry resources looked like when you got here in 2020?
A piece of paper. There was a script that you printed out yourself. And from there, you got your leads from Opt, you printed them out and you dialed them. But within 6 months, we started getting this training system in place. And within a year, HQ started to form, a structured training system that everybody across the entire country had access to. So we were all learning from the best of the best. Very, very short time frame between then and what we have now.
How many instant decision e-apps did you have access to?
None. Back then. Nope.
Waiting 5 to 7 business days to find out whether your client was approved?
Yeah.
Look how far we've come just in 4 years. 4 years later, you have access to a suite of products that are instant decision for your clients. You can do it all from the comfort of your home. You can submit in 15 minutes. I don't know if you guys realize this, anybody who's worked wider in the industry, there is not an agent outside of Symmetry that has access to even half of the instant decision products that we do. Symmetry is disrupting this business. Symmetry is carving, right, a new mold for how life insurance and investment products are going to be sold moving forward. And we're all here at the ground level helping do that. Return on opportunity. Recognize this for what it is. Be grateful to have the opportunity to be a part of what is going to be the new wave in the insurance industry, a new wave in the wealthiest industry in the country, in the world, right? We have the opportunity here to ride this wave, to use that to grow our business, right? Simply by being a part, simply by being engaged with this business. So return on investment, return on time, return on opportunity. All of these things are available to us here. All of these are resources, right, that we have access to. Simply got to go get them.
Yeah. Back to our job versus SFG. Right under job. Commute versus more time for you, more time for your family, more time for productivity. Can't really control what you can get done on a commute. Maybe you can listen to some audiobooks. Great. But what if you can listen to some audiobooks in your own house, in your backyard, while you're switching over the laundry, while you're doing some dishes, while you're on a walk? Commute versus having more time. I know Hunter was commuting 45 minutes each way when we were in Chicago. Got all that time back here. Under that, time off requests versus work when and where and how often you want. No one gets to tell you when you take vacation here. No one gets to tell you how much you work. No one will. No one will tell you how much you should or should not work. That's up to you. You see the promotion guidelines. You see what it takes to get to the next level, and how long it takes you is how long it takes you. You get it done in week 1 and you want to take a 3-week vacation, that's your prerogative. What you put in is what you get out. You don't have to request anything from anybody. Benefits versus you choose how you are covered. You choose what's going to best protect your family. And guess what? You pay for that with pre-tax dollars. You get to choose. You have the opportunity for business ownership. You have the opportunity to be equity partner. You have opportunity for endless bonuses. Does the benefits package stack up against equity partnership here? Never, never will. Does it stack up against the bonuses? Some people are making over $150,000 a month in just bonuses. That'll cover whatever benefits package you want. Benefits versus everything that we have here. Salary versus commission. Salary, someone controls you. Salary means you are chained to whatever structure you agreed to by a boss. Commission means you are in control. Again, meritocracy, you're paid based off of what you deserve, not decided and signed by somebody else. 2.5% average annual raise versus 15% in your first 3 months here. There are 10 5% raises you can get here, and you can get them in as little as 24 months. Actually less with Slingshot. So 2.5% annual raise, which is what a lot of people see in a normal job, versus you can get 15% raise in 3 months, and then beyond that all the way up to 130% of whatever you write. Victim versus owner. In a job, often things happen to you. Layoffs, budget cuts, getting passed up for promotions. Things happen to you. Very little control over that. Here, ownership. You get to take control. You own your success here. Your responsibility is your success here, and vice versa. Your success is your responsibility. No one else's. I'm not responsible for what Josh does. Tom's not responsible for what Ibble does. They get to choose. We get to choose. Victim versus owner. Control. That's what it's about. Control. Freedom. Think about this. In a job, on average, work 5 days to get 2 days of freedom versus work a couple of years here to have freedom for the rest of your life. What would you rather have? So with that, Hunter, any final thoughts? We might end a little bit early today.
I think we will. Just one final thought to leave you with. You know, we wanted to do this call because so often we see, especially with brand new people coming here, a discomfort with kind of this whole notion of ownership. People come in here and they act like employees because that's the only frame of reference that they have. So we want to encourage all of you to stop thinking like an employee. Start thinking like an owner. When you talk to people about this business, talk to them about ownership. Don't talk to them about leads. Talk to them about ownership. Talk to them about spending money before they pay taxes. Because see, we're not looking for employees here. Nobody is. Josh doesn't want any employees. Ibble doesn't want any employees. Tim doesn't want to be an employee. Alexis doesn't want to be an employee. That's why you guys are here, right? So let's find people, let's extend this opportunity to people who see it as an opportunity and not a job. Because those are the business partners that we want to have here. Those are the business partners who are going to understand things like return on investment, return on time. When we do that, that gives us all more, right? That raises us all up. That gives us all the freedom that Paige is talking about. So don't be an employee. Thank you guys so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure talking to you as always. And let's get out there and crush this week.
Yeah. Have a great Monday, you guys. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.